Oh, there's the Nuremberg war crimes trials. Why am I showing you this pixelated photo? The ethical research key terms, and the first key term is the Nuremberg war crimes trials. So, class, if you become an MD, as some of you may, somewhere down the line, a doctor, you'll take an oath called the Hippocratic Oath, which starts first, do no harm. And I think that's a good motto as a general principle for ethical research in any field. First, do no harm. The textbook makes reference to the Nazis and to the Tuskegee syphilis study in the United States without actually mentioning the Nuremberg war crimes trials or the Tuskegee syphilis studies, but I do want you to know them. During the Nuremberg war crimes trials, this is the key term, held in Germany following World War II, former leaders of Nazi Germany were charged with war crimes and crimes against humanity. Among those crimes were horrific medical experiments that were conducted during the war in the name of quote-unquote science. It didn't just happen in Germany. A branch of the U.S. government authorized a 50-year study called, key term, the Tuskegee syphilis study, in which a sample of African-American men diagnosed with syphilis were deliberately left untreated, without their knowledge, without their consent, to learn about the lifetime course of the disease. A cure for the disease was available in the 1950s, and the study did not end until the 1970s, and only because of the hard work of Senator Edward Kennedy and many others did it end. These people had horrible lives and horrible deaths because of the cruelty in this research. Egregious violations of human rights such as these led in the United States to the creation of a national commission for the protection of human subjects of biomedical and behavioral research. And the commission's 1979 Belmont report, I'm mentioning this because the textbook is written by a Brit, and the stuff in there he refers to as United Kingdom stuff, but you need to know the America stuff, what we do here. The Commission's 1979 Belmont report established three basic ethical principles for the protection of human subjects. The first was respect for persons. That's a key term. Treating people as autonomous agents and protecting those with diminished autonomy. Always respect your people when you do your research. The second principle was beneficence, which is minimizing the harms and maximizing the benefits of your research. And I'll talk more about that a little later. And the third principle of the Belmont report was justice, which is distributing the benefits and the risks of research fairly. Now, the textbook discusses tea room trade by Lord Humphreys and the ethical issues raised by Humphreys' methods to find out more about men who had sex with other men in public restrooms in the middle of the 20th century. You had or probably will have a reading assignment related to that coming up soon. You probably already know about Stanley Milgram's obedience experiments conducted in the 1960s, where they tested people's willingness to cause pain to another person if told to do so by an authority figure. People said, oh, that stuff happened in Germany, it couldn't happen here, and Milgram proved, of course, it could happen here, and it did. After the study, the subjects underwent debriefing, where they were informed about the experiment's purposes and methods. And I also want you to know, you may also have heard of Zimbardo's famous prison simulation study in the early 1970s. This was at Stanford University, one of the best universities in the nation. And what it demonstrated, this study, was the willingness of average college students quickly to become horrible human beings, harsh disciplinarians, when put in the role of a simulated prison guard over other students. It's usually interpreted as the demonstrating how easy it is for human beings to become quickly cruel. But those are not key terms. I do want you to know about voluntary participation and the right to withdraw. Researchers, this is from the textbook, researchers should inform subjects of their rights and their right to refuse to participate, their right to withdraw whenever and for whatever reason they wish. This the textbook calls voluntary participation and the right to withdraw. I also want you to know about another general ethical principle, confidentiality. Under the category of protecting people, protecting research participants, researchers must take steps to ensure that the research data and its sources remain confidential unless participants have consented to disclosure. So you'll inform your subjects that the recorded tapes or audio recordings that you make will not be played publicly, which is true, they will not. They will be used only by the professor, that's me, and you, the student. And let them know the professor deletes all recordings at the end of term. Everything I get, I delete. This research is oral history. Let them know it's for in-class use only, and it is not intended for publication. And you keep this all confidential. Anonymity you already know about. I won't give it as on a quiz. We've discussed this in class. Many people want to be anonymous, so you give them a fake name. Many people don't want to be anonymous. They want to be known because they're pleased with their contribution. In any event, anonymity is not a key term. The term assessment of potential benefits and risks to participants. In the case of your research, you're offering participants the opportunity, and this is a benefit, to share their history of how they have thought about a specific subject and how they have experienced it to a certain extent. What is their history of this, their experience with this subject? This research has been specifically designed, as we discuss in class, to give the benefit, a real benefit, of having someone, that's you, listen to someone else's story with respectful interest. It has great human benefit. The research is specifically designed for this or your final paper project to minimize and eliminate any risk of harm. And we'll discuss this, of course, further in class. The last key term I want you to know about is obtaining informed consent. That entails giving as much information as possible about the research so that the prospective participants can make an informed decision about their involvement or their possible involvement. And again, this is quoted from the textbook. The primary objective is to conduct research openly and without deception. And all of this contributes to your not doing harm. And thank you, class.